Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz Live at the halfway mark of this three-match ODI series, India and South Africa. South Africa won the toss, decided to bat first. First 16, 17 overs, you'd say, were definitely going India's way. But then Captain Bavuma and Rissi van der Dussen really swung things in South Africa's favor. A gigantic double-century partnership between the two of them, both getting hundreds and taking South Africa to a mammoth 296 for the loss of 4 wickets in this first match at Pearl. I'm Gaurav Kapur, with me Harsha Bhogle and Dinesh Karthik. Harsha, will start with you, boy. They really swung it around after the 20 over mark, didn't they?
Yeah, just look. If you look down that card, it tells a story in itself. 3 wickets, third wicket fell at 68. In the 17th over, they're going about 3.7, 3.8. I think Bavuma was 17 of 40, 30 odd balls, 40 balls or something.
Yes.
Yeah, 17 of 41. And he said he's got to make it count from there because he used up the deliveries. And he did magnificently. I thought Bavuma looked very good in the test matches too. But 7.66 in the last 15, they won't lose sleep too much. I think it's the middle overs there where you got only 2 wickets and went over 6 and over that India will look back and think what might have happened. Couple of factors. Yes, there was a catch. We've got a keeper here, so I'm not going to pretend to know too much more about whether that catch would have been taken or no. I thought there was one very interesting phase. I thought the spinners bowled beautifully early on. Chahal was bowling really well. And DK, he moved line towards middle and leg. He was bowling beautifully, beating the bat. And then they started sweeping him. And I just thought the moment they started sweeping him, got 2-3 boundaries there, it just seemed to unlock something. But forget all that. Rissi van der Dussen played a fabulous innings.
I have to say, Harsha, in the comm box, we got, I asked DK to rate the difficulty level of that catch, right? Van der Dussen dropped it, 13 he was, right? I said, and we know that DK is not a harsh guy. He's very generous. He said it was a 7.5. I won't ask him that question now. I'll ask him a question on a scale of 1 to 10. How expensive was that drop? 11? 12?
I mean, as expensive as it can get for sure. I think he was the difference between them getting all out for a much lower score and them going on to score 295. I think he set the tone for South Africa. As I said before, I think he's a very solid white ball cricketer. Somebody, who's enhanced his trades in the recent past, gone to Caribbean Premier League, done well there. I have a strong feeling that if he puts his name up for the auction, he will be taken by one of the franchises because he's got a bit of a dogfight in him. He's not somebody who's very flamboyant or plays out of the world shots. But what he is clever, even from the time he was 90, even when he crossed the 100, he didn't hit too many boundaries. He was just looking to tap it between mid-wicket and long on and deep square leg. He was using the gaps, just walking across, using the gaps, running hard. And you could see he's a fit guy. And the more the reason why I seem to like him is he just doesn't want to give his wicket away easily. Even if he scored 100, he's not playing those expansive shots. He swept 1 ball for 6 of Shardul Thakur, of Bhuvi. And then towards the end, he took on a Bumrah a little bit, but then hit Shardul Thakur at the end. Didn't try anything fancy in between all of that. Kept taking twos, which is very important as a batter sometimes because when you're batting well, your strike rate is good. You sometimes tend to hit big shots, much bigger than what you're capable of, and you tend to lose your wicket in the bargain. One of the reasons why he's been successful is the fact that he is focusing a lot on beating gaps and taking twos, which seems to be the core game around which his one-day game is built.
I'm so happy you said that. I'm so happy he said it. The 2 never gets talked about, The 2 is hardly a risky shot. It's rarely a risky shot. It's a skill shot because it means you've hit the gap, but it's a safe way to get 2 instead of, you take a chance and hit a boundary versus take 2 twos. It's a safe shot. You keep taking twos. You're constantly keeping the strike yourself. You're moving it around. So I also have this thing about people who've had it tough coming in. I think Rissi's had it really tough coming in. He's had to go from franchise to franchise around there. He's into his 30s already, sort of lost his 20s completely in moving around South Africa. It's got to be tough. If you're not tough, you lose your 20s and make a comeback and do something in the 30s. You've got to be tough. So that's what I loved about him. Also, the fact that he got going straight away. You're 80 for 4. You're looking down the abyss, right? So I love the way he played. But I also think that Bavuma set the pace, set the platform for him to
It's interesting though, right? Because if you were to look at this scorecard just in isolation, if you didn't see the game, And you'd look at it and you go, Bavuma, oh, what's the fuss about? He's got 110, he's got a century at a strike rate of around 75. Oh, that's not so good in today's day and age. You have to see this innings in context. You have to see where he was batting, how he was batting, what he had to do. Yes, of course, Van der Dussen has come and made it look good because he was hitting from ball one and he's finished at 135 odd. But he could do that, Harsha, because his captain, Bavuma, was standing on the other side like a tambu.
If you take off, he started slow. Yes, he started slow, but look at Quinton de Kock as well, who's a far more free-flowing batsman. He's 27 or 41. So he started off, I thought that was the phase India were bowling really well, but he's run a ball after that.
Yeah.
Once he got past that phase, he's run a ball. I think that's what you do. If you use up deliveries, then it's up to you to then convert the deliveries you used up into a big score. So that's what he did really well.
Yeah, DK, you're looking at it in context, right? And then this Bavuma innings becomes really important. So they both kind of were the ideal foil for each other, right? It's the ideal kind of formula for a partnership where they were both so dependent on each other, both got hundreds in different styles, but have taken their team up to close to 300.
No, definitely. I think they're a good foil for each other. Also, I think they have their strengths in different formats. I think Rassi's strength is definitely white ball cricket, whereas Temba's strength is more test cricket. And you can see the scores. Temba has come in with a lot more confidence, but Rassi is far more confident in this format. He knows his gaps. He knows where to hit. He knows the ball is not going to move much. He knows what sort of positions he needs to get into to beat the fielders enough to get those ones and twos. And that's why he got going straight away from ball one. Whereas Temba Bavuma is definitely not sure of where he needs to bat because he's batted 4. He's batted opening now. Okay, he's made a place at number 3. And he's realized that to be at number 3, you need to be a decent enough technician, which he is good at in the red ball format. So he's backing himself to do with a similar template. Come in, take your time, but then later on, obviously, look to score the runs. Because even at the end, when he did get out, he tried a few shots before that, and you could see power hitting is not his strength. His strength is his technique is his strength, and he backs that. And if he has a Temba, David Miller, Markram to bat around him, he can do something special, obviously once in a way like this in a big way. But at other times, he can be more than consistent for you to set a good base, like what Harsha said.
And the good thing about ODI cricket is, it's in T20, there's very little room for an anchor player. There's only some days that you can have an anchor player in T20 cricket. Most days, there's no room for an anchor player unless he's also scoring 115, 120 most of the time. 50 overs cricket still allows you that one player, who's that anchor player who can score at a strike rate of 80, 85, but gives the volume. Of course, you can say it works only if someone else is scoring at a strike rate of 100, 110 alongside you. But 50 overs cricket still allows that. T20 hardly ever allows you the anchor player.
Harsha, I'll just go one step further and say in T20 cricket, the role of an anchor is going to be extinct. There is no anchor. You take any team.
Correct.
The anchor needs to bat at 130, 135 these days. That's where the certain template is set in T20. I feel, 180 has become a norm these days. I mean, especially if you play in India. If you play in Dubai or UAE, it's slightly different because the wickets are slower, the bigger grounds. But if you play in India, the role of an anchor, before the anchor used to be, make sure wickets don't fall so that we can all keep hitting around you. But now, where are those players? There are no anchors. I mean, to be fair, there are the last of the anchor that I'm seeing is Babar Azam's, probably for Pakistan to an extent. But everybody needs to bat around him in the speed. And I'd be very, very surprised if there are any more anchors in T20.
I've got a slightly contrary view on Babar and all, by the way. I think the Pakistan bowlers are allowing Babar Azam to bat the way he does by making them play 150 games. If Pakistan have to play 180 games, Babar Azam cannot play like that. Babar and Rizwan open the batting and do well because their bowlers are ensuring that they're playing 145, 150 games. If the bowlers were delivering 180, Babar and Rizwan could not bat like that.
They're like the Sunrisers Hyderabad of 17 and 18. Like them, the bowlers are allowing you to win. Well, their bowlers were allowing them to do 125, 130 at that time. But just have a look at our bowlers today, the Indian bowlers, and see what they've done. You'll notice that there's only 5, which means Venkatesh Iyer, who's made his debut today. We were obviously talking about him in the pre-game, saying, could you get the option of getting a few overs in from him? No overs from him here. We'll get to that in just a second. But having a look at the performances here, you, of course, have Jasprit Bumrah, who's picked up 2 wickets. Ravichandran Ashwin picked up the 1, and there was 1 to a run out, where there's Venki Iyer comes into play. But otherwise, if you look, Shardul, they got the Lord's phone number today, the most expensive there. The rest, of course, going at around a run a ball, or a little under, slightly over maybe. And that's what will happen when you get 200 or 300. But DK, the pick of the bowlers for you, I know it's slim pickings today because South Africa, this 200-run partnership didn't give a chance.
For me, the pick of the bowlers were the first bowler and the last bowler, Jasprit Bumrah and Yuzvendra Chahal. I'll give you my reasons why. Jasprit Bumrah, obviously, with the skill set, he bowled brilliantly. He bowled in all the tough phases of the game, opening with the new ball and obviously through the middle. And in fact, at the end also, he gets a wicket. So he's pretty solid. Let's not talk too much about him. We're wasting our time here. But Yuzvendra Chahal, I felt bowled really well. And I'll say that why? Because he's bowled 30 dot balls, which goes to show that he has made the batsman defend a lot of good balls. Then they have taken a chance and they've hit him for boundaries. That's why his economy is slightly on the higher side, which is okay. Because when you come back to India, when you play on wickets that aid a little bit of spin, when it's slightly slow, he is going to dominate a game for you. Maybe this wicket, even though it is slow, didn't have enough turn in it for them to obviously, for him to cause trouble to both the batters. But the day there's a bit of turn, I would definitely say Chahal will do something special. But the rest of the bowlers, what I didn't like was, for the fast bowlers, I thought, there's something that they need, which I feel is space in the middle for you to pick up wickets in ODI cricket. Whereas for Ashwin, the one thing when he goes back and he sees this performance, I think what he will look at is the fact that he didn't bowl enough dot balls, which basically means he hasn't bowled enough test match deliveries for you to create that ability to, create dot balls. That is something that he's good at. So that is one thing, because if we get rotated for singles consistently in ODI cricket, the odd boundary is bound to come because the 5-fielder rule, then your chance of controlling a game becomes far lesser.
I will just disagree with one thing that you said there. Just one thing. Which is that you said that let's not waste any time talking about it. This is not a T20 mid-show. It's a one-day mid-show. It's enough time. Waste as much time as you want. Loads of time to waste.
Now, his point about Chahal is so valid. Rasi said that in post the game as well, that with someone like Chahal who was bowling well, the ball was turning, you had to take a chance against him early on. And that's why I thought those slog sweeps were not slog sweeps. They were sweeping, but they were sweeping in front of square most of the time. But when they pulled out those sweeps, and I just thought he drifted into the pads little, but he looked at that point like he's going to get a wicket anytime. He went through a couple of overs when he looked like he's going to get a wicket anytime.
A little, I don't know if you can say sloppy, but definitely not that 100% precision in the field today, DK. There was just the slight kind of rough around the edges bit that you saw today with the fielding.
Yeah, not the best fielding day, but to be honest, there was one ball that just literally went past Virat Kohli's face, and it's
okay. That was scary. That was legit scary.
There were a few incidents like that. A couple of the times the bowlers weren't very sure of their footing, so it tells me that the ground is not in the best of shape. Maybe it's not seen enough rainwater, and I think it's not in its best of shape. But having said that, we all know the standards that the Indian team sets. There was one overthrow which was definitely not acceptable. I think it was Shreyas Iyer who threw the ball, and Shardul and Ashwin, you can't mistake Ashwin for it. I think Shardul came running, tried to pick it up with one hand. The effort was there. The intent is a very interesting word which they used, was there for the ball, but it went past. So, things like this, as you said, just a few smoothenings around the corner would be good. But I'm not too worried about the fielding, to be very honest, GK. For me, for some time now in ODI cricket, a lot of teams obviously struggle to pick up wickets through the middle. That's an area we need to address though, somehow. And that only if you deal with that area, because wickets falling up top and at the bottom will happen. One, because of pressure, B, because of the fact that the ball is new. So you're bound to get wickets, especially in day-night games. But through the middle, only if you pick 2-3 wickets can you control the game at any point of time. If that doesn't happen, then no matter how good your fielding is, you're bound to go for runs.
Yeah, on the Kohli thing, I think also could it have been he was standing on the edge of the square. So sometimes the difference in levels, right? Sometimes it just picks up from there. But when India were doing so well, it was because your two wristies were controlling the middle overs. When Kuldeep was bowling well, Chahal was bowling well, they were taking wickets in the middle overs. When India won 5-1 in South Africa last time, you look at the wickets in the middle overs, that was what was making the big difference.
Yeah, today it just felt like, I don't know, while watching it, maybe that's what DK, a 200-run partnership can do. It can really sap your intensity, right? Or maybe we're just kind of used to the stump mics being really high with the test game, and we're just used to hear a lot of chirping, and you don't have that many players close in a one-day game, and you didn't hear that much chirping. But did you somewhere feel that maybe that intensity that we're used to seeing from the Indian team, just that, kind of just that little pack of wolves kind of attacking kind of thing, was just a little off the boil today?
I think way off the boil, if I have to be honest, and mainly because the senior pros who are generally used to playing ODI cricket, they're playing after a really, really long time. I don't know when is the last they played. Must be the last time they played must have been against England in India. So we're talking about a good 6-7 months ago.
No, that's March. That's 10. Yes. 10 months.
That's almost 10. So, when that happens, obviously it's going to take time. Like anything else in life, I think sometimes you're rusty coming into something. And as you obviously move along with it and in your journey, you start getting better. But at this point of time, they were rusty. And I think everybody was, starting from Bumrah, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, everybody. I think that happens. That always happens when you're playing a certain format after a very, very long break. And at this point of time, no matter what you say for an Indian team, the context is, what is the context? They're sure shot in the World Cup. So what are they playing for? It's a bilateral in the middle of nothing. So you got to take all of this into context. If there was a World Cup round the corner, we'd see a very different, intent and attitude.
And
even though there's a lot at stake.
Yeah. No points.
Points don't count either, DK, because this is not part of that World Series, World ODI League. So the points don't count. So it's suddenly, it's an island in the middle of nothing, and it's not a very pretty island either. So it's just there.
Who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? What's going on? It's one of those
let's be honest. As much as we are cricket aficionados, and I know all three of us are cricket geeks, but in between overs 10 to 35, 40, it does get a bit boring at times, no matter who you are. I think we're all used to a faster paced game. Suddenly, when you sit down and see a 50-over game, it's very different. Test cricket has its charm. Through the day, there's different ebbs and flows, and there's a certain beauty to it. But one day cricket, they need to find a way, to make it.
I think the way is what DK actually said. Now, just imagine your Temba. Rassi's come a little while. You're in the 25th over and you're thinking, okay, I need to look after Bumrah here. I don't know what Bumrah is going to do. I need to look after Bumrah, but he's already bowled 4. He's just come in for 2 overs in the 20s, right? So the moment you get to 27, 28, you know that Bumrah is going to be held back. Yeah, I respect Bhuvi, but Bhuvi is not making me lose sleep with his pace. Yeah. So who am I worried about over here? So if there was a second Bumrah, I mean, it's tough to have 2 Bumrahs in a team, but if there's someone who's constantly challenging you, maybe hitting the deck hard a little bit, one of those big Aussie guys who come and hit the deck hard, maybe someone like that, Bumrah's, DK has got a point. But I don't know if Prasidh Krishna is that kind of bowler, whether Siraj is that kind of bowler, but you need someone who will hurry the batsman and make things happen. Otherwise, what he said is correct. 10 to 40, we'll go back to the non-aggression pact that existed between bowlers and batsmen.
I've got an idea to how to quicken this up, DK. You take overs 10 to 40, right? And you just take them away. And you play the first 10 and the last 10. Oh, hang on. A format exists already.
But that is exactly how it happened. You know that. You know that Stuart Robertson was this guy. They researched cricket in the...
I think they've forgotten
They researched cricket in 2003. Now imagine it had to be a non-cricket person who could come to that conclusion. If you had a cricket person analyzing that data, he would never have said, so let's just play the first 10 and the last 10. Why are we wasting time in between? A cricket person would have started to analyze that. Here's someone from the outside. He's just looking at common sense. He's saying people like to see the first 10, last 10. Let's give them that.
Yeah. You've got cricket fans with this, what we've just spoken about the context of this series. You've got cricket fans who are saying, all right, so most of these guys hadn't played a one-day international in 10 months. 10 ka 11 kar dete, and right now if you had to drop 3 matches, you should have dropped the ODIs and not the T20s, right? Since there's a T20 World Cup coming. We're saying this in context as well. It's because there is a T20 World Cup that's going to happen this year. Probably would have made more sense to play T20s, and they dropped all 4 T20s. And
this could set it up for a Virat special, everybody, I'll tell you what, everybody's talking. We're all been guilty talking about Virat's lean run and Virat hasn't got 100, whatever. But look at his numbers in ODI cricket. In the few ODIs that have played, his numbers are fantastic in ODI cricket. It's just that he's not got those hundreds in run chases, but his numbers are fine. His strike rate's fine. And I just wonder whether he can just cocoon himself and say, right, ye mera hai.
Yeah, I hope he does, because so I mean, DK's got a point about the intensity. They haven't played for a while. You look a little rusty in this format.
Also, Virat was a deep mid wicket.
Yeah, so I hope we get some of that intensity with the batters, because there's enough batting talent. There is. There's the captain, of course, KL Rahul. There's Shikhar Dhawan. You have the 2 Iyers in the top 6, of course, Rishabh Pant and the king Virat Kohli. Then you have Shardul Thakur, Bhuvi, Ashwin. You can get a bit of batting out of all of them. Bumrah, hang on, you can get a bit of batting out of them. And then if you're talking about these 10, and I don't include our dear friend Yuzi in it, who thinks that He's a great batter as well. But jokes apart, DK, you've got the batting down there. It's not that daunting in terms of asking rate. You'd expect one or two of the top six to do, what a Bavuma and Van de Dusen did, or somebody to do what a Bavuma did, and just say, all right, I'm just going to stick around. There's no asking rate pressure. I'm going to just play run a ball, move it around a bit, let somebody else do the fireworks, and just stay right till the end.
Interestingly, this game is a lot like how ODIs are played in India. I do have a feeling the main bowlers that they'll have to contend for are the spinners, because as the game progresses, the wicket's going to get slower. Then what are they going to do? Are they going to use the sweep to good effect, because that's going to be a very effective shot with both those bowlers, or are they going to use their feet? Because that's one of the things that they just need to figure out. Because if they get their game plan right around it, then it should be a very chaseable target. We actually, the first box, like Harsha was saying, 240 looked a pretty solid target. But the way those two batted made it look far easier than what it is. But this wicket is not the easiest wicket. So it's going to be a bit challenging. It's not going to be easy per se. But then does India have the batting? Yes. I mean, in terms of names, I think we're second to none. We have pretty solid batting, and we can bat till Ashwin pretty easily. Bhuvi has just won us a game in Sri Lanka. So we have the depth. The question is how we play those middle overs again. I think if we can dominate those spinners, I think that will put them on the back foot a lot. And again, I come back to the point that Harsha made. If you thought India just had 5 bowlers, South Africa have 5 lesser bowlers. They have 5 bowlers, but they don't have that 6th bowler. Markram is an off spinner. And we are packed with right-handers. So it's not going to be easy for him to bowl as well. So I think this game is a 50-50 right now. It's not a runaway in any direction. But India need to play those 2 spinners very well.
Yeah. Hey, no, we have... it's half of our top 6 is left, isn't it? It's right, left today. It's a march past.
Oh, yeah.
Harsha,
actually.
It's a left, right today.
Depends on where Pant bats. Yeah, you got Shikhar. Then if Pant bats 4 and Iyer bats 6. And they put Iyer, Mr. and Mr. Iyer at 5 and 6.
That's a good one. Mr. and Mr. Iyer. Nice.
At 5 and 6. So nice. They might just mix that up depending on whether Shikhar is still batting. And mix up Shreyas and Rishabh. But the good thing is that Shreyas bats at a good strike rate. He's not someone who just hangs around. Rishabh is not someone who hangs around. You keep wickets, let Virat Kohli play his game. I completely agree with DK. It's not. This game is not gone. I'm just looking down the bowling. Marco Jansen has not got the pace. He's got the height, no doubt. Lungi Gidi's got good rhythm because he played in the test matches, but his white ball, he's not a scary white ball player. If you had Rabada, you had Nokia, you're talking about something. And Peklukwayo has never really been a 10-over bank for them in the past. He comes in bowls 7-8 overs. If he has a good day, he'll go and give you 10. So I think there's runs in the middle overs to be had.
For you, DK, again, the same thing. The bowling not looking as menacing perhaps as, they've rested Rabada. Nokia still not fit to play. So, this is, your chances also depend on the bowling attack you're up against. And India would take this one.
Oh, absolutely. I think, when it comes to white ball cricket, I think there's a pretty inexperienced bowling attack. It's now, their main weapon over a period of time, at least in the last 12 to 18 months, has been the 2 bowlers just spoken by Harsha, Rabada and Nokia. With both of them missing out, I do think this target is very gettable. And I don't think it's a very strong bowling attack, to be very fair. I think, Peklukwayo as the 5th bowler, I do genuinely get the feeling Markram has to bowl this game. It would be, in above of 5 to 6 overs, because if one of the spinners get tonked, then they have nowhere else to go. Then they have to go to him. So I can see between Peklukwayo, between the spinners and Markram, they have to bowl 20-25 overs.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, tougher than any run chase is always the joy factor question that Professor Bhattacharya gives us. And I'm going to pop the question again for those of you who missed it in the pre-show. What derives its origin from the shortening of a native term meaning either whirling waters or fight, talk, place?
Is that 2 languages? Because whirling waters has very little to do with fight, talk, play. So it can mean either one or the other. It means in different languages of what it means. If it means one or the other, does it mean whirling waters? Does it mean fight, talk, place?
DK and I will both be looking completely lost when you ask that question, because both of us have no clue of what this question is.
And what makes you think I do?
Yeah. So I think, should we just give the answer? Let's just show the answer. It's okay. Let's not torture people more. Dikha do. How? The Gabba at Brisbane from Wollongabba, which either derives from Woolon and Capim or Woolon and Gabba 1 year anniversary of India's famous victory over Australia. As the wisest and the most learned and the IIM graduate here, Mr. Bhogle, if you could just help decode the answer, because I don't think we've got it even after the answer.
See, if you passed out of an institute 35 years ago, you can no longer carry the placard of the institute anymore. It's all gone. And in any case, it didn't teach us origins of words. But it is called Woolon Gabba. And it's actually it's a spelling nightmare because it's got 2 O's, 2 L's, and 2 O's, and then 2 B's after that. So Woolon Gabba becomes whatever. The only clue was that whenever Joy sets a question, it's got something to do with that date.
Yeah.
And correct. Therefore, today, hugely, I think Gabba, one of that run chase it'll go down in Indian history as one of the biggest days. There's no doubt. That whole Test match, if you have to ask this generation, that one Test match, oh man, you can watch it 100 times and not get bored. I mean, even now when Pant is batting or telling him safe, you know what happened, I remember Kirti Azad telling me once about that 83 World Cup. He said, even now when I watch the game and Kapil Dev is running after to take that catch at mid-wicket, I'm still thinking, hold it, even though I know he's held it, the tension that comes.
That's why in 83, the film, they started with that catch so that everybody knows that catch was made, because it's too much suspense later, even for the people who were in the movie. We have a question actually, and you've answered a fair bit of it, but we'll just pop it out right now. It's Ask Cricbuzz Live, where we take your question. This one is coming from Austin Cunha, who calls himself Austin Powers. Oh, behave, young man. Where does the Gabba win in Rishabh Pant's 89 not-out rank in your illustrious journey of covering cricket? I like, Harsha, how he's put the compliment in there as well to make sure that your question gets picked. Well done, Austin. Don't behave.
Fantastic. I mean, look, with Rishabh, you're going to get these innings, and that's why you have to be patient with Rishabh. But I'll tell you, there were 2 other people. I love Rishabh Pant to bits when he bats like that, because only he can conjure up and bat. He batted the same way in Sydney, by the way. When everyone was saying, hang in, he batted the same way. But that innings from Rishabh, much like Dhoni's innings, put Gautam Gambhir's innings a bit in the shade in that 2011 final. This innings put 2 others. One was, of course, Pujara hanging in there. What about Rishabh Pant's? What about Shubman Gill's innings at the start over there that day? Shubman set it up and Pant finished it. But just to me, the Pant innings was the topping on what was a game that was not meant to be. I've often said to you, Gaurav, if you and me were part of the bowling attack, we'd only be 11 wickets short of the team that actually played.
Yeah.
If you and me, actually, we'll count DK also because they're talking bowling. If 3 of us are bowling, would have been 11 short. That was the lineup that took. Natarajan picked up 3 wickets. Shardul Thakur picked up 7 wickets. Washington Sundar picked up wickets. I mean, that was a screenplay. It was not reality. That was a screenplay. That Brisbane Test. Oh, something else. That, to me, the 2 greatest tours. I mean, everyone talks about 71. You didn't expect to win over there. But 2004 Pakistan and 2021 Australia.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe there's a sequel. We'll talk to Kabir and get a sequel made of this Test match, the Gabba Test match. Yeah, call it Wollongonga, with many L's and many O's and many N's and many G's and many A's.
There is one more place just outside Sydney called Woolloomooloo.
Yeah, isn't it? Wasn't that song in Bhag Milkha Bhag?
Woolloomooloo.
Yes.
And all these come in 2s, Where Taylor and Slater come from, it's called Wagga Wagga.
Wow. All right. We're gonna do a weird Australian colony names, suburb names kind of thing in the post show. Right now, we're just gonna tell you who won our Joy Factor, because somebody actually got that right. So let's just find out who got it right. It was Manan Mehta. Congratulations, Cricket Nuffy. Eminem. Well done, Eminem. Yeah. Come on. Slim Shady, stand up. Well done. Gave us the first correct answer, so good job. Before we go, we want to congratulate Harsha, of course, of getting the guessing game correct. Your guess was 290, so you get an applause from DK and me.
Just another day.
Of course. You get
just another day. DK is sitting over there watching it and saying, okay, 2 quiet overs here, 2 quiet overs here, 2 quiet overs here. At no point did I think they will score 290. Till the 35th over, I didn't think they would get to 290.
Well, honestly, my guess was 263 till over 20. I thought, well, it'll fall short of 263 also. But they've done well. Well, that partnership, of course. Just want to tell you that DK Makram is apparently opening the bowling. So, well, there you go.
Maybe it's because someone's come up with a matchup of right arm off spin against Shikhar Dhawan.
Yeah. Let's see how that plays out. All right. Well, we're going to catch you at the end of the 15th over on Cricbuzz Combox. That's all we have time for. Big thank you to Harsha Bhogle and Dinesh Karthik. Big thank you to all of you. Thank you for joining us on Cricbuzz Live. I'm Gaurav Kapur. We'll see you in a bit.